She's a model, a designer, a platinum recording artist, and the co-owner of her own record label. Oh yeah, and by the way, she just turned 16. Hi, I'm Ernie Manouse. Coming up on Interviews, our conversation with the multi-talented Angel. So what do you think it is that's going to separate you out from the pack of the rest of the singers that are out there?
That's actually one of the hardest questions that I get, because everybody always tries to, I guess, relate me to Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Hilary Duff. And, I mean, you can never really do that to any artist. Everybody's different, obviously. And something that's really unique about me is I do write my own music.
Right.
And also I dance as well. I play an instrument, and I've been training with my vocals since I was very, very young. And I just like being like very widely into everything. And also my album is the same way. I mean, there's so many different kinds of music on there that it's not even fair to put it in one category. Like, there's some rock influence things, there's some, some rappers have debuted on some of the tracks that I've done, then there's some strictly pop, there's also, some dance in there, and we're also doing a multiple release. So there's 4 different singles, 4 different genres, all at the same time, so, that's pretty unique.
Do you worry, some artists, when they release an album that's got a variety of feelings, flavors, styles on it, that you're going to lose an audience, that you're going to have a harder time finding who your niche is if you're across the board?
Yeah, that's a lot of things that people are kind of scared of. That's why it's never really been done in the past, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Or at least done successfully.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, we've thought about it, but at the same time, nobody likes all the same thing. And if you just get across to everybody, then you're thinking that somebody's got to like something on there, right? Like, there's so many singles here. You have like several to choose from. Take your pick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a really cool way to look at it, because not only are you appealing to one market, you're appealing to many now. We're doing an AC release, so therefore there's, the adults and the more mature market. And then we're also doing a Radio Disney sort of release, so there's the younger market, I guess. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I don't think that it's keeping me away from being pigeonholed.
Right.
And that's not something I want to do. Like, I don't want to be stuck in one market and never being able to cross over. It's just a very neat feeling being able to, I guess, put my foot into everything.
When they compare you, though, to other artists,
mm-hmm.
like we said earlier, does that upset you, bother you? Do you take it as a compliment? How do you process it?
Well, it really depends on how they meant it. You know what I mean? You can
Who they're
usually,
comparing you
exactly.
to.
And also, oh, look, just another Britney Spears, or wow, I hope that you're as good as Britney Spears. There's a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, if they mean it in a good way, I take it as a compliment, because that's really cool that they're comparing me to somebody that's so successful. But if they're meaning it in a way that's not quite a compliment, because there's, anti-fans out there for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's going to like one person. And that's the time when it's kind of gets offensive, I guess. Nobody wants to be compared to somebody else. Everybody wants to be unique in their own person, and I think that that's really cool. I'm very creative with what I do, and I like being an artist, so I like being myself.
When you say unique as your own person, who is that? To an audience that doesn't know Angel, who is Angel?
I mean, I'm just so, like, widely, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm into everything. I love sports, I love singing, I love dancing, I love I like bowling, I like golfing, you know what I mean? Like the silly things like that. I just like doing everything. I'm not picky about anything like that. I mean, I'm not a diva, it's just, I steer clear of those sort of things. I just like to have fun. That's pretty much who I am. I want to go places, and I want to make it a good time, because that's what it's all about if you really think about it.
Right.
Why do all kinds of work if you're not having a good time?
As the success grows, the attention grows, and the stories grow, and people say things, be it truthful or not truthful and all that, how are you going to handle that? How have you handled it up to this point?
there's a lot of things said, and I've had people say some of the silliest things before, like, that's not her real name. I'm like, yeah, it actually is. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. One time, like, a makeup artist, she was going to do my hair, and she was like, are those extensions? I was like, She felt my head to make sure that they weren't extensions. I was like, don't you believe me? I was like, that's so silly. But, that's just going to come with anything,
I know, it's going to get a lot worse than that.
And, once you become more successful, you become a bigger target. That's how it is in any industry. That's how it is with anything ever, really. And I just have to accept that.
What do you think you're sacrificing at this point for all of this?
That's a good question. I would have to say probably being at home a lot. Like, I'm not in a regular school anymore. I was until recently. And that's something that you have to give up. And this is something that I love to do, and I would happily give that up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of one or the other.
Is it worth it?
It definitely is. I'm very happy to be where I'm at. And I'm still keeping in touch with all my friends, and I still go home all the time, and I still get to do all the things that a normal teenager gets to do. I'm still going to go to homecoming. I'm still going to go to all the games, and you know what I mean? Like, I really just want to stay involved in that, and I want to have a normal life as well as traveling. So I want to have the best of both worlds. And, I mean, I don't want to sacrifice my normal, I guess, teenage years for my dream, which would be fine too if that's what it cost. Right. But I'm trying to keep it all.
Okay, take me back a little bit. When you say your normal life or a normal life, really I would say you haven't had much of a normal life. You were 9 months old when you were discovered? What did they discover at 9 months?
I was one of those like little Baby Gap models, you know what I mean? Like in the print work, they used to pay me to sleep in beds with all kinds of stuffed animals around me, you know what I mean? I was like, what a job. This is great.
You gotta be careful that's not taken out of context too now with fame. You know?
No, yeah, well, you know what I mean. Like, I'm like 10 years old and they put me in this big fluffy bed with all these teddy bears and stuff, and they're like, look like you're sleeping, pretend you're sleeping, so that, they can take pictures because it's supposed to look so, I don't know, comfortable. Yeah. And I fell asleep and I get paid for that. I was like, wow, this is great. What could be better?
At what point did you know this is what you wanted to do, that you wanted to be a public person in a sense?
I mean, I think that I always knew. When I was like so young, I used to watch like Grease and Grease 2 and We Sing and all those shows where they sing those songs, and I would stand in front of the mirror and my God, I have videos of this. It's ridiculous. I'd push my brother out away from the camera, and I'd dance and sing. And it was just something that I loved doing. And it was undeniable, the fact that I just wanted to do that. I wanted to be a performer, whether it was acting or whether it was singing or dancing or whatever. I just wanted to be like in the spotlight, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like, that's just something that I wanted to do.
9 years old, signed with your first group? Is that how
no, I was 10 when I was offered my first contract, my first record deal. And we didn't go with it because, that's a little bit young. Because at that, I'm still a little bit.
I was going to say, but by 12 or 13 you were recording.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So. But you know what I mean. And also, I guess it wasn't the genre of music I wanted to do. They wanted to take me into country. That wasn't what I loved, And so I waited a while. And when I was 13, I was signed to Jive Records with a group.
Right.
And that went really well. We were in the Strictly Pop Radio Disney market. We had 2 hit singles. They were on some great soundtracks like Jimmy Neutron, Stuart Little 2, Powerpuff Girls, Hot Chick. And we had a platinum record, actually, with Aaron Carter. We sang on his hit single. And, that was a great experience. And after that, I decided that I wanted to go solo. And I signed with Midas Records, and now I'm on my first solo album, recorded over 40 songs, can you believe that? And helped write some of them, and I just couldn't ask for anything better.
Okay, you're moving me too quickly ahead.
Sorry.
I want to go back and say, all of us must wonder at some point what it must be like. And I often ask people about the first time they heard themselves on the radio. But for you, a little different. You're sitting in a movie theater, watching a movie with your friends, and your song is up there.
Yeah.
What is that feeling like?
The funniest thing about that is, it's so crazy because one of the movies I didn't even know my song was going to be in there. Jive Records didn't even bother to tell us that our song was going to be in a movie. So I'm sitting there with my mom, my brother, some of my friends, and we're all sitting watching the movie, and all of a sudden my song comes on. My mom looks at me, she's like, "That's you singing." I was like, yeah, that is, isn't it? That's my song. And she's like, yeah, it is. And then all the, like, this is in The Hot Chick. And then all the girls in the movie start to sing along with the song. Like, the characters, they're in their car and they're singing along with the song because it was called That's What Girls Do. And so they're singing along. I was like, that's so neat. That's so cool. They know my song too. I was like, this is so awesome. What could be better? My friends were like, yeah, that's really cool. That's really neat. I was like, yeah, that's neat.
What was the first time you heard a song of yours, though? Do you remember?
The first time I heard I have sort of a vague memory of it. I was in the car, and I was listening to Radio Disney, and I remember what song it was. It was called Kids in America. We redid Kim Wilde's song, and it was really neat. I mean, I called my dad. I called everybody. Don't remember where I was going. Don't remember where I was, just in the car, and I was with my mom, and it was just the best feeling, like knowing that everybody else gets to hear what you've been working on for such a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I've been trying my hardest for my whole life just to get to the point that I'm at.
How do you gauge success? For you, what does success mean?
For me, success is just like being happy with where I'm at, I would have to say. Like having good people around me, my family, my friends, and also doing something that I love to do, which is performing, singing. That's the best way to describe it, I think. Just being satisfied with your life is probably how I would describe success.
So it's not measured by record sales, it's not measured by airplay for you?
I don't think so. I think it's just, where my satisfaction comes into play. Like, if I'm happy, then that's success right there.
Yeah. Take me back a little bit to the girl group days. Mm-hmm. You always hear stories, they must all hate each other, they must not get along. You wanted to go solo. Was there any tension? Were there any troubles?
Put 5 teenage girls together, there always would be, you know what I'm saying? Like, Who gets the cutest clothes and who gets to stand in the middle when we perform and sing the lead, you know what I'm saying? It's just how it always is. But it wasn't as bad as some of the things that you've heard. Like, I'm sure that there's some horror stories out there. And there was, I guess, management tension. There was differences in opinions of where the group should go when it came to, like, marketing. Some people wanted to go into a more mature, like, age group and be older than what they really were. And also, I was the youngest. I didn't really fit in. I was, 13 years old, and they're like 16, 17, and like, oh yeah, these boys did this. I'm like, boys what? Cooties. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard. We weren't friends before. We were all put together, and there were 2 managers in the group, and that got difficult.
Yeah. When adults even deal with tensions at work, it's so difficult. But as a young person, for you, how did you deal with any of the kind of tensions? Not to say that there were major tensions, but anything from simply who stands in the middle and all of that, wanting to wear the right clothes and all that stuff. You're so young, and this is going on. How did you find comfort? How did you get through it?
Well, at the time, I wasn't in school, so I wasn't really participating with much of my friends. That's kind of how I learned that I wanted to stay like a normal kid. Yeah. But I was really close with my mom at the time, and I still am. But like that's pretty much how I got through it. And all you can do is laugh when silly things like that are going on. I mean, it's hard to keep it away from going to your head and getting upset about it. Right. But you just gotta think like, wow, how ridiculous. And like I was laughing all the time. They're like, what are you laughing at? I was like, what are we doing? I was like, what are we fighting about? You know what I mean? Like, okay, you can wear the necklace. It's really okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying?
So then those experiences, what did they teach you to look for when you went out solo? When you started looking to do what you're doing now, what did you take from that to say, I want it to go this way, I want these certain things? What did you ask for?
When I went on my own, some of the things that I was really, really looking for was being able to have say in my own decision making. I wasn't in a position where I could say what songs I wanted to sing or, how I wanted to dance, what I wanted to wear, or what the album was even going to be called. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it was just something that I was really looking for. I didn't want to have my career being steered by someone I didn't know and somebody that, I hadn't even really had a conversation with. Like some of the people at Jives, I didn't even know some of them, Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be able to make decisions without consulting with, like, how many, like 24 other people. It's like all these girls, their parents, all of their lawyers, and you know what I'm saying? Like, right. It's just something that I wanted to have on my own. Like, I wanted to be able to say, no, I like this song and I want to sing it this way, and then I want to perform it for this event instead of having to go through all of that.
So now with new management, new label, all that, are you free? Do you have that say?
I do, and it's really amazing because most new artists don't.
Right.
All of them. It's very, very, very rare that new artists get the sort of say and freedom that I have. And I'm signed to Midas Records, and I'm a partner in the label as well. And it's just a great position to be in because I'm being asked, what's your idea of what single do you want to be your first? And I'm like, well, maybe we should do this, and we all consult together, and we talk about it, and it's just really incredible. I couldn't ask for anything better because not only am I getting to help, but I have all of these really, really, really incredible people around me who are so experienced and know exactly what they're doing, and it's just a really safe place to be because I know we're making the right decisions.
Had you been plucked out of obscurity and hadn't had the background with the other group and all of that, do you think you would have come up with the same ideas and wants and knowledge of what you had going in, or do you think you needed that background?
No, I definitely think that I needed that. I learned so much from that. I learned more than I could have ever hoped to have learned.
Yeah.
And if the group would have been extremely successful and just blown up, I don't know if I would have been even as happy as I am now, because now I'm in a place where I know what I'm looking for and I know what I'm doing, and I'm just very secure with where I'm at. And I'm happy. Like, this is exciting because this is like my success, like me by myself. I'm not depending on like 4 other girls, and it's just great. Like, it's my own album, and I helped named it, and I wrote some of the songs, and it's just great.
Yeah, that's the thing I think is wonderful too, is that you're involved in the creative process.
Yeah, exactly.
That you're not just, and so often we're seeing today, artists are picked and placed in a place to sing a particular song a certain way, and you've been able to break out of that.
That's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of corrupting the industry if you think about it, because where does all the creativity come from now? The people who went to college and learned the books, or the actual artists?
Right. Well, friends of mine wanted me to ask you, what's going to make her different? Why is she unique? What makes her special as opposed to everyone else that's out there?
Exactly.
Okay, this is kind of trivial, but I need to ask because it just excites me and I want to know what it was like. You rode in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. What was that like?
That was cool. It was freezing though. It was so cold, and everybody told me wear 2 pairs of pants, wear those long underwear and all that fun stuff, and I was like, no, it's gonna make my legs look bulky underneath my jeans. I was like, why would I do that? The camera already adds 10 pounds. Why would I put more clothing on? So I didn't do it, and I so should have. I should have, because I was frozen, but it was so cool. I mean, there were so many people just like all standing there, kids on their shoulders, and like even when you look up into the buildings, like there's people in the windows, and it was just so cool. We got to ride on the Hershey's float with all these like big giant chocolate things all over, and it was just great. It was a great experience.
How long does it take? How long is the actual day for you when you do something like that?
Oh boy, we had to be there at like 5 in the morning. We had to be there very early.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then we stayed. I don't remember how long it went, but I remember it was long enough to make my feet hurt. It was definitely.
You talk a little bit about, the double pants and all that, and your comment about, but it'll make my legs look big. You have to worry about all of that. How much pressure is on you to keep a certain look, a certain appearance? Because I think a lot of people worry that in today's society, when these young people, young kids are becoming stars and becoming celebrities, there's so much pressure on them that it's messing up their head. Is there that pressure really? Do you feel it? And where does it come from if you do?
I mean, I've heard about that. I've never actually felt that sort of thing, except for like maybe when I was in like No Secrets days, we had to make sure that we didn't like show our midriff. We had to make sure that we didn't, wear spaghetti straps, or we didn't wear too short of shorts or too short of skirts. And, that's not really that big of a deal. That's a good message being promoted. Don't dress like that. You know what I'm saying? It gives off the wrong image. And I've never felt any sort of pressure of like weight or, you have to be like this or you have to do that. And that's one of the benefits that I have being where I'm at and with Midas Records, because they aren't telling me who to be or, how to dress or act or anything like that, or, you need to lose 20 pounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, That's an awful situation to be in. I would never want to be told that. My heart would be broken, even if I did need to lose 20 pounds, you know what I'm saying? But, I'm just very thankful to not be in that situation.
You talked a little bit a moment ago about messages and positive messages, and the VH1 Save the Music Tour that you've been involved with. Tell me a little bit about what that's all about.
That's a great foundation. It's promoting, keeping the music in schools, keeping the kids in schools, so that they don't drop out and so that they do participate in their music programs. Otherwise, they will be lost, Schools are putting all of their money towards football games and sports and all kinds of different things rather than their music programs because kids are becoming less involved. And it's just something that I think needs to be saved because I went to a school that had an incredible music program until I was in, I think it was 7th grade, and then I switched over to another prep school, and they didn't have a music program at all. They didn't have any sort of arts. They didn't have, drawing, painting, acting. They didn't have choir, band, anything like that. Just sports and academics. And that's something that I would have loved to have been offered because I know that I would have participated, and I think that every kid deserves the same, opportunity as any other.
Yeah. You talk about messages too, and as fame finds you and as more success comes your way, more people are looking to you as a role model. What does that mean to you?
I look at that as a compliment, and I see it as when you go into a business like this, that's something that you take on, and that's something you have to respect. That's something that you can't deprive the kids of. You can't be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a role model for the rest of my life, and then all of a sudden take that away and make yourself somebody that they're not able to look up to because their parents won't let them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I plan on being a role model forever, and I know that my mom has brought me up great. I don't mean to sound big-headed or anything like that, but I've had a great family background. I've been taught all of the right morals, and I think that every generation, kids are deprived of that more, and they're exposed to more things such as drugs, alcohol, more sex on TV and all kinds of different things. And it's just a good thing to talk about, it is all right to be good.
Right.
It's
but
still
being
cool.
good isn't cool usually. It gets to that point where if you're too good, then people are like, oh, she's good. How do you balance that?
That's what you think, though. But really, I don't know how true that is. That's what people say. But there's a balance. You don't have to be uncool. You don't have to be, oh yeah, I have to be home at 7. I have to be home at 7 o'clock. That's I don't know how good that is either. You know what I'm saying? You have to be yourself, but at the same time, don't go in the wrong direction. Also, the VH1 tour has been sponsored by Free Vibe, which is promoting anti-drugs, staying away from alcohol, and that's a great message as well.
Right.
There are a lot of problems with that these days. Underage kids, and just even older than that, the exposure of drugs and alcohol is not in a really good position, I guess you could say. And I was really excited to become involved with that because, I have been in the position where I have seen some of my friends go down the wrong paths, and you lose contact with them because they're not in the right mindset to, be your friend anymore, and they lose touch with everything around them, and then they lose touch with you, and it's just not a good situation.
Does the older generation know what's going on in your generation, do you think? Do we really understand the issues you face, or are we kind of seeing it through a media eye and don't have a grasp on reality, what you're facing?
See, I think you could look at it either way, I guess. I think that the older generation does obviously see, the issues that, it's always going to get worse. In the 50s, it was you could go out and walk down the street as a really young kid and not have to worry, your parents wouldn't worry about you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And now these days, you're like, here, 5-year-old honey, take your cell phone with you. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you call me when you get there. It's just a different world. It totally is. And I think that, the older generations do see that. But I'm not sure how much everybody realizes how hard it is for the younger generations because peer pressure, that's a really strong force. But it's something that should definitely be stood up to. It's hard, but it's worth it. Even if you lose friends over it or, anything like that, it's just kind of not recognized so much as, I don't know how to explain it. It's just something that's a big deal these days.
You're so young getting into all of this. You've been so young. You've been through all of this stuff. You run the risk of, if the career doesn't work, you could be done by 25, 30, and you've got a whole life to live after that. What are you doing to ensure that you're going to have a long stay?
Well, right now, I'm finishing high school, getting through it. I'm in 10th grade, and I go to Sycamore Academy, and I'm, working my way up there. I'm going to graduate on time, go to college. I want to go to a great college. That means
there is still
world to
time
me.
for school and all of that.
Definitely. There's always time for school. You know what I mean? My parents do not believe that a full education is over until at least 4 years of college. So that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Good.
And also, it's very important. An education is always, important. It can always be used, and it will always come in handy someday. And I don't only want to be a performer. When I'm, 50-something years old, I'm probably not going to be able to get up on stage and dance around for a couple of hours.
So we'll be seeing Angel's farewell tour then, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I want to still work in the industry, but I want to be a songwriter or a producer, or maybe have to do with marketing, or an executive, a label executive. And for all of those things, even this day, it's just to be, I don't know, like a gas attendant, you should probably go to college. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs to go to college, I think. Well, they don't need to, but it's a good decision because you can never learn too much.
Yeah. So what's left? What do you want to do? You're 16. What's left for you?
What's left? Well, there's a lot of things left. We're working on all of them. I'm just, the album, I'm so excited about that. That's going to be out shortly. We're still picking the songs. We need to figure out which ones we're going to have because there's 40.
How do you
40
pick?
To choose from, exactly. Yeah. And it's not really so much of which ones aren't going to be up to par for it because it's 40 good songs. It's more of which ones are going to fit, like which ones are going to sound best together. So that's next. Working on a summer tour, a big tour. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Well, I know that you've got a whole lot coming on. We've run out of time, but thank you so much. I hope you'll come back and join us again.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Angel.